What's going on, everybody? Adachi here, and we're going to be taking a first look here at SINoALICE. Now, I do want to precursor that there are a bunch of fantastic guys over on Reddit, especially the Discord, that they have the unofficial Discord. I believe that PokeLabo ended up making up an official Discord. Don't know about that one, but the unofficial one has a bunch of information from the JP side that you can go ahead and read up on. There's a bunch of fantastic videos out there that I highly recommend you check out. I'm just casting my lot into the pit here. Alright, so first we're going to look at the gameplay itself. Up here is going to be event raids. Over here is going to be your kind of co-op content that you can join other people. This is the events and, you know, your daily farming and whatnot, those dungeons and all that stuff. And this is story where you're going to unlock all of the characters. So I do want to say, when you pick a character at the beginning of the game, literally does not matter. You're going to unlock all the characters as soon as you do all of their story pieces. And you're going to go further and further down to get more materials, get XP, and unlock or further classes for said characters. Alright, so here in combat it is pretty simple. Right here you can see we have 4 CPU characters. This quest is probably going to be a little too easy to actually show off combat. But you can fill this up with friends, you just have to change a setting, but I don't have any friends, so I just have this set to random characters here. But if you have a lot of OP friends, it'll help you clear some content that maybe you wouldn't be able to by yourself. And yeah, this quest is not going to be good enough for me to actually show off combat. But we have a bunch of weapons down here that we equipped on our grid. You do have a certain cap, and as I use these, and once all these are used here, it's going to cycle out and I'll be able to get some more out of my pool of weapons. Alright, going into hopefully a harder quest here, I'm going to look at the gear. So down here we have a list of 5 pieces of gear. These are pieces of gear that I have equipped, and these are selected randomly. There's more gear that I have, but I have to use up all of these first before I get to shuffle and get a new hand of cards basically here. You can see the associated SP costs with them right here, 25.19. They also show what exactly they do, like this is AoE, this is single target, this is a buff right here. And up here you can select your nightmares that you have equipped. These are just buffs that you use throughout the fight. And you can see my SP bar here. If I actually finally click an ability here, it'll go ahead and take some of my SP, and this is just going to slowly regen over time. You can also see the waves up here, and combat is very straightforward, especially if you played something like one of my personal favorites that, you know, rest in peace, may you rest in peace, Logres, or especially instantly, because I think that's a more popular one and it's still alive in the West at least. But you should be very familiar if you've ever played any of those. You got weapons, they cycle out. You've got characters, you got classes. Alright, so that's combat. Very straightforward. There is also an auto button, so that way you don't actually have to mindlessly click stuff, or as you saw, if you have a bunch of OP people around, you actually don't even need to do anything and they'll go ahead and clear the quest for you. Up in this menu, this is like some beginner missions that I have to do for some rewards. Up here is called cleaning. You play a little mini game. It'll actually show it off. And you play this mini game to regain some AP, which is your stamina required to do quests. And you do this by actually ranking up your character. You can see my XP going up as I do this. And do keep in mind, I know a lot of people who played the JP version thought you had to click these. You just swipe around. You can see this meter filling up around me. Once this is all the way filled up, I can go and tap myself and clear the screen. It also stops time. That way I can go ahead and get a little more XP out of this. This is going to be free up until, I believe, somewhere in the ranks of the 50s. In JP, I think they extended it up to a very high rank, in the hundreds. But I'm assuming we'll probably just be free up until about rank 50-ish. And yeah, pretty straightforward. Once you've hit the cap rank for your freebies, unfortunately, then you can only do this, I think it's like 3 times a day at like certain resets throughout the day. You know, a lot of games have those where if you log in at certain times, you can go ahead and get, you know, stamina or some kind of reward. Right here's our present box. This is our, like, expedition system. You can go ahead and send out your nightmares so they can get materials and XP for your nightmares. And you have a couple more slots which you can unlock with gems. In fact, we'll do that now since I don't really plan on sticking with this account, and I've got plenty of gems to show off some summons as well. So there you go. Total of 5 slots. Over here is news. Right here is going to be all of your missions. You got your dailies, you got your event missions and whatnot. A lot of resources to be had from here. Make sure to check it out, especially the event mission tabs. Whenever events are going on, there are a lot of goodies you want to get out of those. Then at this tab here is where we're going to set up our team. So if I can go ahead and select a new team. First, we're going to start off with a class. As you can see, there are a bunch of classes of these characters denoted by the icons over here. You can see all the characters you can see. One thing to understand about this game is that these characters are basically just vessels for stats, meaning that if I click this class right here, it has stats here, but if we actually take a look, if I can find the actual details, there we go. As we get to the job levels up on this, we're going to get all these stat bonuses. Now, some of these stat bonuses are global, meaning that as long as you level up these classes, every other class that you use, doesn't matter if it's Alice or if it's Snow White, are going to get those stats. And these characters also have very specific stats. You can see it says Alice right there, so those are going to specifically give you global stat boosts for this character specifically. What is important about these global stats and whatnot on all these classes is that this game is very expensive if you decide to try and pick more than one class, which is highly unsuggested, or not suggested. There are a lot of base stats to be gotten out of all these classes, and they particularly usually just give stats that only benefit their class. Like this gives me physical defense, it probably gives me some strength, whereas the strength off of this would not assist in something like, if I could find a different class like the Archer class, or where is it, the Paladin class with the lances, as those scale off of magic damage, so the physical attack wouldn't benefit whatsoever. So it's very important to kind of pick one class and stick with it. Now you can either pick this, reroll, and kind of pray for the best when it comes to your RNG if you are somebody who is like a free-to-play, or you can just let the game decide for you, and if you end up pulling more of something than another, then you'll probably want to go for that class. Like if I got a bunch of lances, maybe I should go for a Paladin class then. Alright, here at the gear select screen, we're not going to go too deep into this, so I'm just going to optimize, which you should probably do starting off in the game as well. You're probably not going to have enough gear to fill out all of these sets anyway, unless you're doing some massive pulls. This is our main gear set where we're going to put all of our weapons that we're going to be cycling through for their skills specifically. Here's going to be our main armor set, and then our main nightmares that we have equipped right here. And if we click this button right here, this is going to bring us to our subset, which is going to be basically just free stats. This is why you want to level up a bunch of weapons as you go forward in the game, because your subset is going to end up giving you just a bunch of stats. So if I go ahead and optimize once again, you can see it filled out my sub slots here. Go ahead and do it again for my armor, which I don't think I really have any armor, do I? I don't have any armor, so I can't actually put any armor in my sub slots. Then we've got my nightmares as well. So once again, sub slot, just free stats. Your main slot, more important for your stats specifically, but also incredibly important to make sure you're picking the skills that you want, and you're picking weapons that are going to be doing damage that is actually going to benefit you. Like I wouldn't want, for this case, this is a Paladin class, I wouldn't want hammers and swords. I would want, specifically I'd want lances, but you know, I could throw some bows in there as well, unless they give you some kind of a buffer effect that is beneficial to your character. Over to this next menu is the more daunting list, because there is a million things to upgrade here. You have your job levels that you upgrade. If you have Arcanas, you can go ahead and uncap some job levels to get further stats for either those characters or global stats. You can upgrade your weapons, you can fuse them together for a higher skill level, you can uncap them to uncap their maximum level. There are also pieces of gear that you can actually upgrade one tier up, so I could take like an A piece of gear to an S, and so on and so forth. I believe the gear only goes up one tier at most though. Another important note when it comes to gear is that you aren't going to find any tier lists for this game when it comes to weapons, as the banners just keep coming. The power creep keeps coming, weapons just continue to get better. So basically, if it's new, it's probably better than some of the old stuff that you have. So don't get hung up on tier lists. I also wouldn't get too hung up on rerolling, unless you want to go for specific jobs. Then you can do some rerolls for jobs, or you can reroll for, as a lot of the JP players have recommended, for SS Nightmares, as these will carry you through for a long while, apparently, as they all give you buffs in the fights, or they give you strong debuffs. And apparently these are top of the line when it comes to the SSs, so don't take my word for it, that's just from JP players. Also, unfortunately won't be able to look at guilds or Coliseum today, as I don't have a guild of my own. I could just join one real quick, I suppose. In fact, I might even be able to just do this real quick. I'm sorry to this guild for joining in, but there are guilds that you can just join in for free, and this is how you're going to be able to access the PvP. An important note, I haven't gotten into the PvP whatsoever, so I couldn't tell you much about this, but an important thing is that they all set times for when their PvP is going to happen. It's going to be important for you to figure out when that free time is going to be, for you specifically to pick a guild that is going to be at a time where you can actually show up and do the Coliseums. If you aren't there, AI will still take over, but of course it's always going to be better if you actually have control over what's going on in the fight, coordination, all that jazz. Alright, the meat, the potatoes, the bread and butter of any one of these mobile games is its gacha. You can see there are tons of banners going on right now. I believe this one is a free one. There you go, boom. I get one free double S, and we'll just go ahead and show off. I have a bunch of gems, so we'll just go ahead and do a bunch of pulls here and kind of show that off. Boom, I'm 1 SS. I don't know if this was a guaranteed class. No, actually it was guaranteed nothing. I just got an S. I don't know, it's saying that if I do enough of these, then I can go ahead and get 1 SS, I believe. Translations aren't exactly incredible. Yes, I believe if I... Oh, come on. If I pull this 26 more times, then I will go ahead and get 1 guaranteed SS. Hopefully that means a job, not just a weapon, as you can pull SS weapons that don't necessarily have a job with them. There are a few different banner types, hopefully we will be able to look at all of them. First is our step-up banner. These are usually discounted earlier on, and then they give you like bonus rates as you go further on, and you can lap, and potentially they will have a guarantee. Usually these are decent because they have the discount as well as either guarantee or high boosted rates as you get further on and on into the step-up. Like I can get this sick-looking Alice. Look at that. Whatever that is. I actually have no idea. That's supposed to be a sword, I think. Actually, I have no idea. It looks more like a lance. Alright, and here's the rates right here. You can see an SS is 3%, S20, and A77. They don't actually have like just a rate showing for a job specifically, but you can go ahead and check those specific rates down here. So it is less than a 0.5%. It doesn't look very good for you, but do know that there are a million thousand jobs. That's why this rate is so low right here. Actually, it's not even a million thousand, but that is still pretty dang low. It's because they give most of the rate to the actual rate ups, which is good, as you should. And you can see they even slapped in a rate up for one of these weapons here. Hopefully it's a good staff right there, as there is no job tied to that one. Alright, on this banner right here is going to be the boosted price banners, which are going to be higher than a normal pull. A normal pull is 300 gems. This one is 500, but these ones guarantee 1 SS. They don't guarantee you an SS that is necessarily going to be on banner. They just guarantee you an SS, but if we look at the rates, I'm sure this is still going to be a good option if you want to aim for something more specific. You can see my luck isn't great. I have 2 potential SS rolls right here. Whenever she smacks him around, you like throw or kick a book at him, it'll turn the last book into one of these books right here, which can be an S or an SS. There's my S, and there's my SS. Cool, I got the on banner. I honestly forgot what the red-haired chick's name is. Cool, there you go. Actually, does this guarantee you one of these characters? Do a couple more pulls. Okay, here we go. We can see the rate on these is 1%. Always make sure to check rates on, should be just a rule of thumb for any gacha when it comes to whether or not you feel like you should be pulling on these things. So that is at 1% right there. Let's go ahead and try one more. I want to see if I get, if I'm 2 for 2, then I'm going to say that this is maybe guaranteed on banner. I really doubt it. It says 1%. Okay, we didn't get a kick there. There's our S. There's our SS, and it is her weapon again. It does say item guaranteed, but I think that's like a bonus item. I don't think that's actually the piece of gear. So do know that all these specifically have different things going on. So when I pull out of some of these banners, I'm going to get different currencies as well. So we'll go ahead and take a look here. So yeah, I got certain items out of pulling a couple of those banners. And here's an important one, are these coins right here. Alright, those coins are important, especially right now because it's the end of the month and we're... Unless this is considered July. This might actually be July in Japan right now. But if I go to my items and I click on the medals, I can go ahead and open up the pity shop. And in the pity shop, I can go ahead and get all kinds of goodies. So out of here, whatever the rate up was exactly, so I could get this class of Snow White right here. I get this class of, I forget this guy's name. I can also pick out certain weapons out of these. Do you know that 100 is a multi right here? So this would be 15 multis. These guaranteed classes, also 15 multis right here. A really important point though is pity is good, but also these arcanas right here. These arcanas are what are used to uncap these classes' job levels, which are going to give you more stats. And if you end up not pulling, you know, you get unlucky, you don't pull something that you want, you end up having to pity out of here. That means that in order to get the arcanas, you have to spend even more gems and pulls just to end up getting these arcanas right here to actually end up uncapping the job level. Not necessary, but beneficial. I'd say probably more in the along the lines of like whale territory, or somebody who's just incredibly lucky, so that way they can just go ahead and use their coins on the arcanas themselves. But it's a neat system that I think is a lot cheaper than a lot of other games that people might be used to as far as like a sparking goes. You know, when you have, look at something like tried and true GBF 300 multis, or 300 multis, 300 pulls to get a spark, whereas this one is only 15 multis to get a spark. So it is half the price, but there is also, you know, they come out with a lot of banners. There's a lot of other things to get as well, namely in these arcana. And the job weapons, as I've been told, are not necessarily as good as a lot of the other SS weapons that you kind of get standalone that don't have a job tied to them. And then over in this side tab over here, when it comes to the gachas, these are like your ticket summons. You can get these through events. You can get these through purchasing different bundles and whatnots. And there's usually a lot of goodies, like guarantees. There's like something going on for Mirative. I keep seeing this site for a lot of Japanese mobile games, some kind of a streaming platform, and you're getting some tickets out of that, maybe for attending a Mirative stream or something like that. Yeah, these are ticket summons over here. All right, and the last thing I want to look at before I just burn all these gems and I will shut up is to look at the paid items. Unfortunately, I just missed the mark because there was another bundle going on and it looks like it was a paid class. I can't guarantee that there are exclusively paid classes. You might just be able to pay to get them, but they're still in the gacha. But I can guarantee that there are nightmares that you can get in the game that are going to be paid only. An important note about these, though, is that when it comes to PvP, which you do with your guild, only one person needs to have one of these paid nightmares, which is primarily where these are going to be more important, is in PvP specifically, not necessarily PvE. And unfortunately, these are probably the best nightmares that you will come across are the paid nightmares. If that's a turnoff for you, you know, that it exists. And there might be classes, there might be weapons. I can't guarantee on those, though. I do know that I've seen them there, but I can't guarantee that those are the only means of actually getting them. Alright, and that's it for my first look. I gotta say that I don't have strong feelings, as I believe that this game is primarily going to be a PvP game. As far as PvE goes, everything's been pretty straightforward. I upgrade my gear, I upgrade my job levels, I get more stats, and I clear through it. There's the co-ops and raids, which are a little more interesting as you have live people going on there. But overall, I can't give this a strong impression without the PvP specifically. I think the biggest appeal of this game is going to end up being that that group PvP that they have through the Coliseum. I was a huge fan of Logress back in the past, but its structure was a lot different than this game, so I'm very curious as we enter the global launch how the PvP is going to be exactly, and I believe all that stuff is going to be available almost right away. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a second look at it once we have everything in front of us and I'm able to make a guild and actually participate in all that stuff. But for now, I'm just going to, let's see. I saw this, I don't know if this is Snow White or not. They got this bear head on. Look at that. Bear outfit with this spooky guitar. I like it. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and disappear and we're just gonna show off the rest of these polls here. So thank you everybody for watching as always. I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoy the game and have a great launch. So thank you and have a great one.